Hi there, my name is Saman Shahi and I'm a composer and musician based in Toronto, Canada. This video is part of a series providing beginner to intermediate composers with some basic guidelines to improve their craft and technical abilities. In this episode, we want to explore melody writing and some of its nuances. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Now, when it comes to catchy melodies, there are a few composers that come to mind right away. Now bear in mind that a lot of good melodic writing is simply trial and error and also experience. But there are some basic things that you can think about as a composer to make your melodies immediately more effective and memorable. One of the first rules to a good melody is always less is more. What I mean by that is limiting the number of ideas that we use in a melody. This could be a certain gesture, rhythm, or interval. If you go back and check out some of your favorite melodies, you will probably notice that they use a fairly limited set of ideas. It's usually one or two rhythmic ideas, plus maybe a few intervallic motifs that keep happening. Crowding a 4 to 8 measure long melody with too many rhythmic ideas and melodic motifs will probably decrease its chance of settling in the listener's ear and therefore making it less memorable. Let's look at a couple of examples. For instance, let's look at the main theme from Mozart's Symphony No. 40 in G minor. This is from the first movement. As you can see, and as you heard in the clip, the rhythm in this particular melody is very, very simple. Ta-ta-ta, 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 ta. Ta-ta-ta, 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 ta. So across the 8-bar phrase, that rhythm stays exactly the same, even though the notes change. Now, if you pay attention, you'll also notice that the shape of the notes are also the same. So the first one, for example, starts from an E flat going to a D and then repeats the D. E flat, D, D, E flat, D, D, E flat, D. And then the cascading movement that comes down, B, A, G, G, A, G, F, E, E, D, C, C. So now that has a descending motion that comes all the way down. So there, it's very structured. You know, you have the ta-ta-ta, which has the high note, low note repeat idea. And then after that 2.5 bars ends, you have the descending idea. And again, the whole thing repeats 1 note lower, starting at bar 6. Everything's the same, exactly the same, just 1 note lower. So he's planning exactly where he's going with this melody with huge, huge precision. Now, the Schumann Piano Concerto is probably one of my favorite melodies of all time. A lot of what makes this melody great is also its harmonic language that we're not going to discuss today. But just to see how he divides up the energy of the melody. So, for example, so that you think he's going to resolve the melody, but now he goes to the B flat, B A, right, and then he drops that very surprising octave jump, and also the highest point of the melody onto the listener, and I think that's really quite brilliant and very, very effective. And then from there he slowly brings it back into an E major dominant 7th chord and then back to the A minor. But in the middle he gets as chromatic as he can with the harmony, which I think again at the beginning he's keeping it rather simple. Chord 1 going to chord 5, very simple. But in the middle he has all these secondary dominant chords and chromatic chords, and then at the end again he goes back right into A minor. His consistency in his rhythm is also quite beautiful. The half note, dotted quarter note, 8th note, T, ta, 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 right? The notes, despite its speed, this is a quite quick piece, right? This is half note equals 84, quarter note equals 168. It's very fast, but he manages to actually create this sense of serenity and being laid back with longer, more patient note values. So This is one of my favorite melodies, and I'm hoping that you also think the same. Another element of a good melody is its direction. That means controlling the tension and resolution, and also where it stops and starts again. So since most classically structured melodies have a call and response quality to them, it would be very beneficial to know where the melody is going and what it's stating at the end of it. This means, what note is it stopping on? What harmony is underneath it? Is the next part of the melody going to simply respond to this by repeating most of the melody, or is it going to state something completely different? These are really important questions to ask and honestly wrestle with when you're writing a melody. For example, look at Schubert's masterful control over tension and resolution in his melody in his song Gretchen am Spinnrad. The first 8 measures set up the melancholic mood by resolving from minor to major on a C. And then the responding phrase, instead of resolving it back to D minor, takes it even further to E minor. The final element of a good melody is a rather subjective one, and that's its singability. Humans have a natural tendency to want to sing, since it's a very primal and intrinsic part of our human expression. This means that melodies that have more memorable and accessible intervals and rhythms have a higher chance of being favored. Now, I'm not saying that melodies that have angular intervals or challenging rhythms are not good. In fact, some of my own favorite melodies go almost against everything that I discussed today. But then we also have sublime melodies like this. Now, I'm sure this episode will cause really big agreements and disagreements. Melodies are a huge part of why we listen to music, and people seem to have very strong opinions on what constitutes a good melody. I tried to encapsulate in a short video what I think can make a good melody, but I really do want to hear your thoughts and ideas on this as well. Please feel free to drop me a line in the comment section below and let me know what you think makes a good melody. Thanks again for tuning in, and also don't forget to like and subscribe, and also share this video with a friend who you think might enjoy it. We will discuss form and structure in our next episode, so be sure to tune in. Thanks again, and see you soon.